All right, up first we have Aries rising and sun. So this Pisces lunar eclipse is happening in your 12th house. And one of the cards that I pulled is this death and magic card. And I think that this makes a lot of sense for a 12th house eclipse. Generally, when an eclipse happens along the 6th and 12th house axis, which is where this is taking place for you, sun on the 6th, moon on the 12th, there can be some stuff that comes up psychologically or physically that really kind of gets to us in some kind of way. And this death and magic card to me is indicating that there is some process of needing to let something go. And that's already something that I was mentioning in the overview video, that we're having to kind of confront some elements of the past that we need to forgive. And I see that again with this forgiveness card. This message is doubly amplified for you. I can't tell if things are focusing, but hopefully they are. But regardless, there's something here where I feel like you are ready to transform some area of your life. But before you can do that, you have to forgive something. You have to release something. And this could be involving relationships, because I did roll the dice for the 11th house, and Jupiter, which is a very social planet in general. And so there could be something around relationships with others where you, in order for you to feel connected again, in order for you to bring in the right kind of people into your life, or have that sense of community, or improve your relationships, you have to first kind of talk to someone about something, or release something emotionally, let go of the past, forgive something, move on from something, because it's getting in the way of your happiness. And this eclipse is also squaring Jupiter in your third. And I did pull the 3 of Wands for you. So I definitely can see you guys being somebody who needs right now to kind of put yourself out there in different ways than you have before. This could look like going on a trip, or taking a course, studying something new, meeting new people, traveling, all the things that I mentioned. But there's something here where I feel like you would benefit from taking some kind of chance on something. And this could also mean that you have an important conversation and you take a risk emotionally or vulnerably by putting yourself out there in a certain way. Regardless, but there's a sense of kind of, let me get out of my normal routine. Let me try something different and go to somewhere new, or challenge myself in some way that I wasn't challenging myself before. And I think that is going to help you if there's things that you need to kind of understand to fill in the gaps with something in your life. I think that will help give you a lot of answers. So, one of the things that's really powerful for this eclipse for you guys is the fact that your planetary ruler, Mars, is in Cancer, squaring the nodes. So, there's something quite fated here around this eclipse. And it's drawing your attention to act in some way that you are not used to acting. Can you see this candle? That you are not used to acting. And I feel like there's some level of resistance here with this 5 of Swords. And this resistance could come from inside of you. This could come from outside of you. It doesn't matter. It could be from people or circumstances or beliefs or emotions. But there's something that you need to act on that I feel like you aren't doing with this 5 of Swords, or you are doing but you're meeting resistance and it's making you anxious. And I feel like with this Page of Swords in reverse, upright, this card has a lot to do with curiosity and following kind of like following your curiosity, basically following to some instinct, to some degree following your instincts. And so there's something about this where I feel like you could be having some, again, resistance around that, where normally you would be curious and you'd be like, I'll just go and do this thing, or all this kind of lighthearted, childlike energy where you feel like you can do what you want and you don't have a lot holding you back. But there's something about this eclipse where I feel like you guys are being weighed down by something from your past that you have to forgive and let go of. But also there could be something in terms of your home, your family, your emotions, other people's expectations, who you live with, your past, that I feel like is also kind of getting in the way of you putting yourself out there in new ways or trying new stuff. It's almost like I don't know, it's like you might feel like you are more stuck in something than you actually are. And I feel like this eclipse is trying to help you become aware of how you might be limiting yourself. With the North Node in your first house, this is your time to shine. This is your time to really develop underdeveloped or unseen, ignored aspects of the self that have been waiting dormant underneath the surface to be unlocked in this lifetime. You're not going to have a lot of opportunities for that. And this is going to be like another 18 years before this happens again. This is your time to do that thing that you said you wanted to do, to see yourself in the way that you want to see yourself. And it's super important with South Node and Libra to not let other people kind of get in the way of that. Or it doesn't just have to be other people. It could be anything really. But this 11th house, there's something here with your community that I think could be playing a role in that. And I also pulled this Virgo energy, or I rolled this Virgo dice. So, and Virgo does tend to be where, and that's where the sun is during this eclipse. But Virgo does tend to be a little bit more cautious and analytical, and very much like, I'm going to take kind of conservative steps forward. I'm going to make sure that it's all very calculated. But there's something about this being a Pisces eclipse where, and your Mars is squaring the nodes, North Node's in your sign. There's something here around taking some kind of leap, going on an adventure, not having it all planned, not having it all figured out, not having it all under control, and being okay with those unknowns, being okay with that degree of uncertainty, and allowing yourself to grow bigger as a soul, as a person, as a life, to experience things that are outside of that kind of bubble of calculation and safety. And I think that this is your chance to do that. So I sincerely hope that you do that. You know what? I forgot to mention something about this eclipse. Ugh, I always forget something. Yeah, there's definitely more to say. I mean, Mercury is in Virgo opposite Saturn and Pisces, so many of us could be having difficult decisions, difficult conversations, can kind of get in our own way or in our own head. Venus and Libra opposite Chiron and Aries, relationships could be a source of questioning or discomfort or heartbreak to some degree, or the need to heal those things. And again, I feel like once you kind of take some kind of risk, like you say something that you've always needed to say, or you go on a trip that you've always needed to go on, I feel like once you do that, you'll notice that these things resolve themselves. I really feel that's true. So anyway, that is what I'm seeing for you, my beautiful Aries. I do want to pull one more advice card. We have a forgiveness card, but let me just see if you have a question, you can feel free to ask that, or this could just be a general advice for you. For Aries spirit, what do you want Aries to know? All right, nothing wants to come out. Okay. You got two things. You are ready. Listen to your intuition. That feels like it goes very much aligned with what I was saying. With this Mars squaring the nodes, I really feel like you're holding yourself back, but you are actually ready, and you can trust your own instincts to lead you in the right direction. You know what you want. You know where you should be going. But I feel like sometimes your emotions or your past or other relationships or things that have happened can kind of get in the way of that sense of inner knowing. And this eclipse is trying to clear that all out, forgive people, let stuff go, fully listen to your intuition, and take a certain leap or a certain risk into the unknown and believe that you will be caught on the other side. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Aries. If this resonates, I would love to hear from you down below. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Taurus rising and sun. So this Pisces eclipse is happening in your 11th house. And I did roll the dice, and I got the 11th house here as well, the astrology dice. So there's something here where you guys may have a particular focus on others, on relationships, on people's influence on you. And I really feel like Spirit is trying to get you to make sure that you are like doing something for you or on the path for you. And it could indicate the need to kind of like fight for what you want to some degree. And this could take on a lot of different forms. So for some of you guys, this could look like external influences trying to kind of mold your life in a certain direction, and you're supposed to, with this warrior card, kind of fight and stand up for what you believe is right. For some of you, you guys may need to fight for the kinds of relationships that you really deserve and creating that sense of community with the right people. Regardless of what it is, there's something here that I feel like you really, really desire. And that's kind of what I'm trying to describe. With this Nine of Cups, there's something that you have your sights set on that you think would really emotionally fulfill you. I also rolled the Cancer dice. So there's something here around this being something that would really fill you up from an emotional perspective. Your needs would be met if you had this thing in your life. But then we have the Justice in reverse after it. And there's something about the Justice in reverse, as well as having the Focus card in reverse, that to me indicates that something is a little like off balance. The Justice in reverse indicates something unfair. And the Focus in reverse indicates having your attention put into the wrong things. So there's something about this eclipse where I feel like it's trying to get you to fight against what is unfair, what is, what is unjust, and to focus your attention on where you have power, to focus your attention on the changes that you can make in your life, and not kind of be susceptible to maybe some external influences, whatever those may be, or events that have already transpired that maybe feel like they were not right or not fair, or things that emotionally impact you still, or relationships that influence you. I don't want to get super in the details of what the circumstances of whatever that is, because it's going to be so different for each of you. But there's something in your life that could have felt just like really unfair, like you weren't heard, you weren't understood, your wishes were not met, and you might have just kind of, as a result, focused your energy elsewhere. And this is a Pisces eclipse, and Pisces can be quite passive, but there is Saturn here, and Saturn, I feel like, Saturn is resilient. And there's something about Pisces that I think is, it's known to be like one of the weaker signs in terms of physical health. It is known to be a little bit more passive. It kind of like sways a bit in the wind. If you have a lot of Pisces, you can mold to your surroundings. People can influence you. There can be some sort of gullibility. This is not a Taurus trait, but this is a Pisces trait. And so you may have experienced some of this, and to some degree, where you could have felt like, oh, things are unfair, things are imbalanced, or things are not kind of going the direction that I wanted them to go, and I'm just gonna, kind of sit on my hands or whatever. I focus my energy elsewhere. I'm distracted or whatever that is. And this eclipse is kind of coming here to hone you in on what really matters to you and show you that this injustice, this unfairness is not something that you can be totally passive about. It's something that you have to kind of fight against, that you have to stand up for, that you have to connect to on a really deep soul level. And that's when Pisces can become unstoppable, when they are totally aligned with where they're going, emotionally, spiritually, physically, energetically, whatever else there is. they're 100% on board with where they're trying to go, then they become unstoppable. And I feel like you guys are meant to be coming into that kind of fierceness with the King of Wands. This came out twice. And you know what's weird is that when I was shuffling your cards, I was getting really irritated because I told Spirit I want them to come out individually, maybe 2 at a time. And they were coming out in clumps with every single deck. It was happening again and again and again. I just kept putting the clumps back and then reshuffling, trying to get them to pop out randomly. And the King of Wands came out in one of the clumps. And then, of course, I put it back with the clump and then it came out again. So there might be something there where you keep asking for something to be done in a certain way. And it's like other people or something about it, it makes it influence so that it comes out in a different way. But there's something here with the King of Wands that remains true. And this is somebody who is passionate, who knows what they want, who is a leader. It's a king. So there's really everyone's answering to the king. There's a sense of power. And I did roll the Pluto dice. So there's some sense of power here that I feel like you're meant to kind of embody, maybe more intensity, more focus with this card in reverse. I think you guys are meant to transform your focus, bring it upright, get super, super clear and super aligned with what you want, and not let the things that have happened kind of get you down or others' influences sway you. It's like, I'm going to fight for what is right. I'm going to fight for what I deserve. I'm going to fight for what I really want. And I can see that happening for you guys. But this might be a little bit more of an uncomfortable eclipse because your planetary ruler, Venus, is in Libra, which is great, but it's opposite Chiron right now. So there is some element here of having some kind of strain on you. Maybe this is a mental, emotional strain. Maybe this is a relational strain, a financial strain. But there's something here where you are going to have to overcome or heal after something uncomfortable is brought up or happens with Venus opposite Chiron. And Pluto is really good at transforming the shadows or the darker experiences into that intensity, that power, and that focus of becoming more determined, more resilient, and knowing exactly what you want. It's almost like using the pain to build you up so that you're so strong that you can't be torn down, you can't be diverted, you can't be distracted. And there's something about that I feel like is trying to come about in your life. And this will likely have you have to face something in regards to relationships because this is an eclipse in the 11th house. The 11th house is also about our goals and our wishes and our dreams, which is the 9 of Cups. But it's again about relationships as well. So it's very likely that relationships can be brought into this scenario. This moon is also squaring Jupiter in your 2nd house, this eclipse, I should say. And there's something financial that I feel like you are meant to be kind of like taking a risk on or putting yourself out there with or trying for the first time. Because wherever Jupiter is, it's like that is our place of growth and expansion and trying new things. And with this eclipse squaring Jupiter, there is, again, resistance around trying that new thing. So for you, this could be something monetarily. Maybe you want to retire. Maybe you want to do something different with your money, or you want to earn money a different way, or you want to buy a house, whatever it is. It's like something materially is needing to shift for you. But again, it could have felt like things were unfair, or things have been kind of blocking you year after year, or people are kind of getting in your way. And there's a sense of like, no. None of this is going to stop me. I'm super focused. I'm super clear. I'm the warrior. I will cut through the BS and get to the other side. And I will remain focused on exactly what it is I'm trying to do. So your advice card is helpful people. So an eclipse in the 11th house does bring the whole energy of the benefactor. So somebody who can give you a leg up, somebody who knows something or knows someone that you don't know that can help you. And so right now is a time to ask for help. I'm getting the sense that there's some resistance, again, that I already mentioned, maybe from circumstances or people. But as I mentioned in the overview, if you watched it, there's also very generous people. And while Venus is opposite Chiron, and that's painful, they're also both making a positive aspect to Jupiter. So there's something here where I think people can really come in and support you with this eclipse being in the 11th house. Some people might do the opposite, and some people might really be like that turning point for you that can give you the courage, the money, the advice, the connections, the resources to make something happen. So I highly encourage you to not try to do this alone or do this in a vacuum, to fight for what you want and get the right people in your corner that will help fight for this for you too. So I think the biggest way that you can fight for what you want right now is to focus on exactly what you want, to not let things like your dreams fall by the wayside or you to become distracted from your real mission, but to get really centered with exactly what it is that you desire and to actually create time for that in your world or your material reality. How, if this truly was your mission, if this truly was your destination, how would your life have to shift in your day-to-day reality in order to make this a possibility? And so even if life feels unfair or if relationships have been annoying or whatever is getting in the way, you do have people on your side. This dream does want to be manifested, but you kind of have to fight a little bit more for it to show spirit that this is what you want and to make time and space for this in your life in order for it to manifest into reality. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Taurus. Of course, there's more I could say, but I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions or comments, please do drop them in the comment box below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Gemini rising and sun. This Pisces lunar eclipse is happening in your 10th house, and the sun is opposite it in your 4th house. So what does this mean for you? So an eclipse in the 10th house definitely brings a potential for a change in your life direction. Last time eclipses happened in my 10th house, I dropped the thing that I had been working on for years and switched to a totally different career that involved astrology. That was really spiritual. So eclipses in this area can represent kind of really big shifts in, again, our life path, our life direction, our career focus. What are our goals? What do we see for ourselves? Sometimes it can also signify changes in our reputation or our public standing, like getting married and changing your last name or taking on a more public-facing role to some degree. So that's kind of the overarching view of an eclipse in the 10th house. So there's a few things that I want to talk about. First, there's one particular message here, and this has to deal with the fact that this eclipse is squaring Jupiter in your 1st house, in Gemini. So Jupiter squaring Gemini, again, as I mentioned in the overview, Jupiter can overdo itself. And one of the things that I think is the advice here is I feel like you guys are juggling a lot with the King of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, and the Focus card. And with Jupiter in your 1st house, Jupiter in your sign, and with this moon squaring Jupiter, there is something here where it's like you are probably having a lot of options or a lot of ideas, maybe a lot of things that you could do or a lot of things on your schedule socially. It doesn't have to just be career-wise, but it's almost like your life is quite full, or you can make it really full with the things that interest you, with all these different, again, ideas or conversations or possibilities. And one of the things that this eclipse is bringing is likely some need to kind of get really centered on what your soul really wants. So does your soul want all these kind of tangential experiences for you or not? I think what is most important here is not trying to necessarily eliminate a bunch of things, because Jupiter in your sign does encourage you to be multifaceted, to work multiple jobs or to do multiple things, have multiple friendships, go on multiple trips. There's a sense of abundance that comes with Jupiter in your sign that you should lean into, but it is squaring the eclipse. So there is something here where that multiplicity could take away from your soul's greater purpose that you really, really, really want to accomplish here. And so my encouragement would be, with the Two of Pentacles, it's not about dropping one of them. It's about juggling things. And it's about knowing how to create that strong sense of focus. And with the King of Swords here, there's something about using a little bit more of like your analytical mind to make a really strong schedule or a routine or something where you can fit these things into your life. Maybe you do have to cut some of them away. Maybe some of them make the top priorities, but there's going to be multiple priorities for you at this time. Maybe you have a relationship, maybe you have a job, maybe you have a hobby, maybe you also have something that you're planning coming up, like a trip or a wedding. So there's a sense of having yourself kind of being pulled in multiple directions, and that's okay. But there has to be a way to not lose your sense of direction, the deeper purpose, like what your soul really wants in this whole like storm of energy and scattered energy and different focuses. So there is a way to do that with Saturn in this or on this moon as well in Pisces. There is a way to create enough structure in your life to be able to accomplish multiple things. That doesn't mean everything gets accomplished, especially not all at once, but there's a way to kind of figure out your schedule when you have that complete connection to your soul's purpose, and you might have to connect with that each day so that you don't get off track. Okay, so that's one message for you guys. So your planetary ruler, Mercury, is opposite Saturn, is in the 4th house in Virgo, opposite Saturn in your 10th. So it is possible to feel a little bit more like life is less, like life is impossible. What I want is not happening for me. Things are harder for me. I'm being blocked by this authority figure of this thing or whatever. And it's this feeling of I'm trying to maybe move something forward. I'm trying to express myself in some kind of way or feel something or accomplish something. But the Saturn energy just comes in and kind of puts up a hand and says, there's a lot that's unaddressed here that you really need to figure out before you can move forward with whatever that is, or before you can have that feeling or accomplish that thing or whatever it is. And I can really see that with these cards here along the bottom. You got literally the no card. I feel like the universe is kind of telling you no with something. And it doesn't mean like full stop no, but there's something in your life that you are kind of putting a, like the universe is putting a little bit of a pause on you. Like you can't move forward in the pace that you want to move forward with this. And I see that's causing you quite a bit of anxiety, this feeling of I want to be consistently and steadily working towards this goal. I want to feel like even if I'm not moving really quickly, I want to feel like I'm moving quicker than I am. And I want to feel like I'm making progress at least. But there's a sense of like, I'm not at the pace I want to be at. Things are not materializing in my life. So this could be work, this could be money, this could be relationships or something that's not physically materializing, like the right person, again, the right job or whatever. And it's causing you anxiety because you feel blocked by the universe. But what's interesting is that you have the World in reverse and then the Ace of Pentacles. So there's something that I feel like it's trying to turn your world upside down to give you something different or new, or like have you look in that direction that you wouldn't have looked in if your world wasn't turned upside down. The World card is the card of accomplishment. So when it's in reverse, it's saying you're not accomplishing the thing that you want. You are not fully there. You feel delayed. You feel setback. But it's almost like if you didn't have this delay or setback, would you actually be looking at this other way to get what you want, or this other material reality, or this other thing that is actually part of what your soul really wants, part of your soul alignment? So there's something here with that where I feel like this is encouraging you to slow down enough to, and again, I do feel like you're really busy, but there's some area of your life that's not totally flowing, that's blocked. And it's creating this buildup of energy, of anxiety, of psychic tension in a way. And it's trying to build that up so that you can then release it by looking in another place or in another direction, or thinking about something outside the box in a way that you wouldn't have considered before. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you really want things to be flowing at a job that you have. Well, but you keep being blocked. You keep feeling like things are not moving forward in that direction the way they should be. Maybe not the best example because, Gemini with Jupiter in your sign, that's probably not as much of an issue, but let's just say that for now. Then maybe you will find that there's something else that you could study, or there's something else that you could do, like another degree or another title that you could add to your belt that will help you actually get further ahead. And you wouldn't have taken the time to do that if you didn't kind of get slowed down or stalled where you were. And so by going out and trying to learn that new thing or have that new experience, you might actually uncover that you have more interest in that, and it takes you down this whole path that your soul was always meant to find and explore. And so there's something that I feel like it's trying to pause you to get you to shift your focus into an area that you would never see otherwise. So don't take this as a sign that you're not supposed to do something. Even though it says no, the universe is blocking you temporarily. And then the inexperience card, I feel like there's a lot to say about this, but one of the things is like, you just don't know what you don't know. So there's some elements here about this situation or your life or something that you're trying to do where you might be really new to it, and you like don't know what you don't know. You don't know that there is something else, like another way to go out about this. You don't know that there's another field for this, or there's another degree for this that actually is a little bit more aligned for you. You don't know that there's another type of person to work with, or there's let's say you've only dated certain kind of people and you're having trouble finding somebody, you're having trouble meeting somebody. You don't know what you don't know about other types of people, other types of cultures, other types of ways of relating or ways to meet people. And so you're looking within these parameters, but really you have to look outside of those parameters to experience the things that you don't know. And I think there can be this kind of cockiness that can come with novelty or inexperience or naivete, where you think, oh yeah, like I'm going to be super good at this thing. And one of the messages here is like kind of to humble yourself and to consider that there may be certain things about this field, about this way of doing things that you are having a lot of assumptions around that you need to deconstruct that. And Pisces is really good at that. So hopefully this eclipse will help you with that. You need to kind of deconstruct your preconceived notions of the way things are done so that you can move forward in the right direction for you by going about it in this unique way that you were always meant to go about it. And yeah, so I mean, the dice that I have really represent everything I just said. Let me pull an advice card. If you have a question, you can ask your question now. And the advice card might speak to that, or it's just general advice for the reading. So we have look for a sign. So if you are uncertain, if you are on a path and you're getting this no, or you're being delayed and you're uncertain about something that you're doing, instead of kind of ruminating or getting this feeling of anxiety by being stuck in something, instead of doing that, if you don't know if you're on the right path, ask spirit for a sign. It could be to see a certain kind of bird, or to see a certain number within a few days period, or have, click on a random tarot reading and have that be an answer to your question. But it's important to ask the universe for that kind of communication, that support, because this is a no, but it doesn't feel like a no final stop. It feels like no, not right now, no, not this way, no, not on this exact path, but this could be the thing that you're supposed to do in a different guise, like slightly shifted, slightly changed. And I think that sometimes when we have a slowdown or a little bit of a no, we can start to universalize that and be like, well, this whole field isn't right for me, or this whole dating isn't right. I shouldn't date anymore. I shouldn't go on any dates anymore. I shouldn't try this anymore. This is if you're catastrophizing, which I think anyone can do. But if you're getting to that point, it's time to look for a sign, because there is something out there for you to hear or to see or to know that will help you to realize that like this is the right path, but maybe this is also part of the right path. And there's a little bit more kind of complexity to the situation. And again, you don't know what you don't know. And I think if you continue to ask spirit for signs along the way, it can help guide you to make those little pivots till you find that kind of right aligned path for yourself. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. I hope that resonates with you and makes sense. If it does, please let me know down below in the comments. Also, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm next to have Cancer, Rising, and Sun. So for you guys, this Pisces Lunar Eclipse is happening in your 9th house, which means that the Sun is opposite it in your 3rd. So An eclipse in the ninth, one of the things that I feel like can happen is kind of like testing your faith, especially because Saturn is here, Neptune is here. There's a lot around beliefs, faith. That's a very Piscean theme as well. And this eclipse is also squaring Jupiter in your 12th, which also has to deal with faith, trust, spirituality, like feeling into the unknown, navigating different chapters of our life and having the faith or the belief around what we can't see, what's around the next corner in our purpose or in our sense of direction. And those things might be kind of tested for you guys right now. Ultimately, I think that what an eclipse in the ninth house does is it creates a renewed sense of spiritual connection, faith and purpose and hope, but it does that through the trial of those things. And for some of you guys, this could come through relationship stuff. So I see with this Two of Cups upright, Fool in reverse, Page of Wands in reverse, it feels like Two of Cups. Let's go with relationships. It doesn't have to be relationships though. The Two of Cups can indicate something that we really thought was a soulmate career, a soulmate pet, a soulmate friendship, a soulmate creative project, or a partner. Something that we thought was like meeting us where we were. You have that soulmate energy, but then you have the Fool in reverse and Page of Wands in reverse. So something about your belief, your like lighthearted, childlike innocence around this connection or this soulmate, hope, I feel like is kind of being squashed a little bit. With the Fool in reverse, the Page of Wands in reverse, when these cards are upright, it's like I'm jumping in towards a new adventure and I'm like super free-spirited and I feel like the wind's in my hair and nothing's going to stop me and I believe in everything and the world is so sparkly and nothing goes wrong. And then when it's in reverse, it's like this thing that I thought was my soulmate, this thing that I thought was meant for me. Now maybe I'm having some uncertainty. Like I can't just leap without thinking. I don't feel comfortable just let me shut the window. So yeah, I can't just leap without thinking. Or I did that and I got burned, or I'm forced into a situation where I have to start a new beginning that I don't even want to start. Yeah, I think it's going to look a lot of different ways for you guys, but there's a sense of like, where there was maybe once this kind of wonder and like innocence and hope, there can be a little bit of that dashing of that or heaviness around that. And you start to kind of question like, well, will things get better? And it's funny because I pulled this card and it says the situation will improve. So I think one of the main messages that you need to hear today is that your faith will be restored. It is being put through a trial, and not to diminish your faith, but to help build the muscle of it in those difficult scenarios, in those difficult situations. And how difficult this is going to vary by person, by your chart. This doesn't even have to be that difficult. This could be something really simple. For some of you, it could be life-changing. It really depends, again, on your chart. But there's a sense of, this is why this is happening. This is where I'm going. This is my faith. Those elements could feel tested where, is this where I'm going? Where am I going? Do I believe things will get better? Do I trust? Why did this happen? I don't understand why this happened. I'm questioning God. Like those are kind of thoughts and feelings and existential questions that you could very much have right now. And a lot of it with this die that I rolled to sixth house and Taurus could also have to do with your material reality. So if this thing that I thought was meant for me, if this thing isn't what I thought it was, or if there's something I have to overcome with it in order for it to make sense, what about my material reality then? How does that affect me on an everyday, like on my day-to-day life? How does that affect my health, my mental health, my physical health? How does that affect my job or my resources or my income or my sense of stability, my sense of security? Having this thing maybe not be what I thought it was. And Mars is in your first house squaring the nodes. This is huge. This is very fated to have this, especially since Mars is the ruler of the North Node and it's in your sign right now. So there's something here where you are really at this crossroads in your life. And I think it's important to not be too passive. Mars is about action. It's about making a decision that reinforces who you are as a person and establishes your identity and your sense of direction as a reflection of that identity. So if you say, I am this kind of person, that means that you make the choices to back up those decisions, and then your life reflects that perception of yourself. So if I am a brave, courageous person, and that means maybe you make hard decisions that require your bravery, and your life reflects that. So regardless, there's something here that I think you guys are being called to be brave and make an important life decision around. It could involve career, family. It doesn't have to, but it could. And with the World in reverse and the Four of Wands, there could be something in your life that is disrupted. The World upright is a card about accomplishment, success, kind of like being on the top of something, on top of the world. And then the Four of Wands is harmony and celebration and things being like coming together in a nice way, family, for example. And so some of you guys might feel like actually the family that you thought you were going to have, or the direction in life that you thought you were going to lead, or the relationships you thought you were going to have, or that feeling of like, oh, I'm going to be here at this age and I'm going to have X, Y, and Z, like this kind of dream, right? This like hope that can be very Piscean of like, oh, I'm going to have this movie fairy tale. Some of that could be kind of questioned at this time. And with this transformation card in reverse, I feel like it's important for you guys to be willing to let stuff go. Be willing for it to not look like how you thought it would in your head, where we can like idealize something or we can imagine something from a really young age, and we can kind of have like our youth like hurt, or not dashed, or whatever you would say. And this is, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's like I used to think like in the movies that life looks like this, and now I'm realizing that actually it looks like this. And again, this doesn't even have to be negative. Like this could be you committing to a partner, but you're realizing that that relationship is never going to look like that fairy tale in your head that you thought it should look like. The reality of relationships is maybe messier or harder, or, has its ups and downs. So there's something here about having to kind of like get a dose of reality. I think it's because Saturn is on this eclipse along with Neptune, where we're having kind of this like melancholic, sobering, but also like shattering of like ideals, but also reestablishing like new, healthier ideals that are more realistic. And I feel like that's something that you guys are needing to go through. And you're being asked to allow yourself to transform your way of viewing things, because I think there might be an attachment to the idyllic like version of whatever it is. And it's important to let that go in order to actually be happy. Because in our minds, we think, oh, once I have it like this ideal, then that's when happiness comes. But life never lives up to that imaginary ideal. And then we're just continuously unhappy comparing it to that version of what we think our life should have been, when we can just adjust our whole concept, which is very ninth house, our whole schema of reality and what we wish for and hope for and what we think things should look like. And then we can feel happy because now things actually can fall in line with that. We have a realistic and a realistic kind of sense of life where we can actually satisfy those goals, satisfy those needs, satisfy those visions of our life, rather than this perfect kind of Disney World type of thing. Yeah. I think I want to read this transformation card in reverse for you guys. Let's see. Sometimes people and situations come into your life as a kind of change agents that turn your life upside down. What you thought was real and expected is challenged by someone else's perspective or behavior, which you have no control over. This can be painful and deeply confusing, but the creator goddess Shakti wants to offer you her guidance. Can you see how everything that is off balance is serving you now, helping to open old wounds so that they can finally heal? You know you are seeking this change, this magical metamorphosis for a better life for you and your loved ones. Right now, your alignment task is to love that part of yourself that sabotages your efforts to move forward. And that's super important. With Mars squaring the nodes, you have to make a decision to move forward right now. And you're at that crossroads where you could decide not to. And so this is important. Don't sabotage those efforts. Love the insecure you, the one that is jealous, the one that sees not enough when the world is truly full of potential. Life loves you. The feminine aspect of the universe, the great goddess herself, all of your angels and all of your guides and helpers remind you that you came here as a spiritual being learning to co-create the world anew. That just sums it up perfectly. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. If this resonates or helps in any way, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Leo, rising, and sun. This Pisces eclipse is happening on the 17th in your 8th house, and that means the sun is opposite it in the 2nd house. So an eclipse in the 8th house, not so fun, gonna be honest, especially an eclipse like this, which I didn't mention in my overview, but a Pisces eclipse involving Saturn and Neptune can be very psychologically destabilizing, emotionally destabilizing. Mental health can be a little bit out of whack for this one. And that's going to really be more sensitive during an 8th house eclipse. So 8th, 6th, 12th houses are really going to bring out those kind of psychological imbalances. So it is very possible that you're feeling some level of discomfort at this time. Yeah. So I just wanted to say I'm sorry, and okay, hopefully this reading will help. But yeah, these cards are just a little intense. So I feel like there's some stuff that you're having to kind of face within yourself, like some maybe inner demons or some stuff from your past, which is very, very likely given that this eclipse involves Saturn, conjunct the moon very loosely, but it's still there. Very much does bring up things from the past, things that we haven't dealt with, or that we need to let go of, or that we need to forgive, that we need to forget. But I almost feel like with the 7 of Swords, it's been things that you've been lying to yourself about, things that you've been avoiding facing, things that you didn't want to feel or express or deal with, that you are having to deal with now. It's coming up, it's coming to the surface, and you need to feel it, basically. And with this 5 of Cups in reverse, this is a good sign, because this card upright is really about challenging things that leave our life, things that disappoint us, things that make us feel abandoned or alone, or without something that we need or want. So this 5 of Cups in reverse to me indicates that this has likely already happened to you. And with the 6 of Cups next to it, for some of you, this could be something from childhood. Doesn't have to be. But for some of you, this could have happened a long time ago. For others of you, it could be more fresh. But there's something in your life that I feel like recently has kind of been a letdown to some degree. Like something could have happened where, yeah, you didn't get something that you wanted, or something that some people really disappointed you, really let you down emotionally, issues in relationships or issues in work or whatever it is. It's like something that causes emotional distress, basically. And I think that that's something that's already happened, and you're starting to kind of have to confront it and overcome it at this eclipse. And again, with the 6 of Cups, there's something very reminiscent about your childhood from this. It could be an experience that brings up past relationships if something happened, or if you had past failures, it could bring that up, or it could bring up past emotions with your family where you felt similar feelings, but there's a sense of like a repetition, a kernel of truth that runs through all these situations, a kernel of similarity. And then we end with the Five of Wands. So something about this situation can lead to some kind of turmoil. The Five of Wands is combative. It is inner turmoil or turmoil with others, or feeling like restless, feeling unsettled, feeling like you have competing priorities, competing beliefs, uncertainty over what you want or where you're going, or you're arguing with yourself about stuff, or you're anxious, or you're arguing with somebody else about stuff. There's a sense of tension. And so really, I feel like this eclipse is trying to stir you. It's trying to stir these emotions. It's trying to stir up the past, the things that you've been avoiding. It starts off with the Seven of Swords. It's this sneaky energy. Somebody kind of, but I feel like it's you trying to sneak past yourself. But it could bring up stuff in relationships where there might have been some betrayal or some sneakiness. Regardless, but I even if that was happening, I think to some degree there's also an avoidance or a lying to yourself, or like not fully facing or feeling something that is catching up with you at this eclipse. And it creates the necessary tension in your life, because you need to have this conflict. You need to have this tension in order for you to work through whatever this is, to release it. You can't just act like it didn't happen. Act like what that person said didn't bother you. Act like that thing in the past didn't make you upset. It's like, no, you have to put it all out there. You have to address it if this involves someone else. You have to feel it if it involves yourself, or look at all those sides of the self that are competing or trying to have you view it in a certain way. It's like, you can't just ignore all of that. You can't just tune all of that out. You have to allow the conflict to arise, allow the tension to build by facing it, listening to it, addressing it. And you'll see that by doing that, it helps you understand what's on the other side. It helps you maybe even create more connection with others, because this moon does square Jupiter in your 11th. So there's this desire for maybe community or connection and strong relationships and support. And those things are going to be more possible once this is ironed out. Whether this involves those people or not, I don't know. But whatever this is, it's like, address the conflict either if it's with somebody, then with them, or internally, or whatever this is. Feel those feelings, and then you'll find that you have so much more left to give. You can be vulnerable now. You can laugh now. You can reach out or connect on a deeper level, because you're not spending so much energy kind of trying to suppress the things that are bothering you, or compartmentalize them, or block them out. And so this is going to be really, really freeing for you. And it's going to help you understand what that next step is, or how to constructively move forward from the past. And with Mars squaring the nodes, Mars is in your 12th in Cancer, the sign of Cancer, squaring the nodes in your 9th, 3rd house. I feel like you're at this point of needing to kind of let go of the past in order to see what's really possible. There's this idea, I feel like, of potential, and of your intuition trying to guide you to this potential. But I feel like your judgment is being clouded by these emotions and inner conflict or external conflict of the past coming up and kind of like getting all in your vision. And you can't see what is truly possible for you without fully moving through that storm. It's like a plane. There's a massive storm. You can't just avoid it. You have to go through it to get to the other side. And so that's what I'm seeing for you. And I pulled this card, listen to your intuition. This is absolutely an affirmation of this, that your intuition is already trying to guide you into some of these unknowns. So 2 other cards that I'm seeing are the Flow in reverse and Independence in reverse. So you guys might feel like you're kind of in a phase of your life where you are uncertain. Maybe things are stagnating, or maybe they are not flowing as easily as you would like them to. Maybe you feel like certain relationships are not what you would like them to be. With this independence in reverse, maybe you want to feel more independent and you feel like you're a little bit more codependent. That's possible as well. Let me look up that card in reverse before I go off with that. Do you sometimes fear being independent? You may have been conditioned to believe the only way to have close relationships is to become enmeshed and entangled with others. Do you long for independence and breathing space, yet fear reprisal? Comment down below how you pronounce that. Should you choose to detach from unhealthy companions or situations? You'll need courage for the alignment task Lilith asks of you. Walk away and establish a more empowered sense of self by saying no to these relationships that drain your life force. That's a message for some of you guys out there. There's a lot of chaotic energy in terms of relationship conflict, and I really feel like you guys may be unnecessarily entrapped in a dynamic with certain people that are not your future, that again have you not able to see your full potential. And it's because of fear of letting go, of being alone, that I think is really driving that for you. Sometimes people attract drama into their lives to avoid accountability. Enabling this dynamic helps you avoid the responsibility that's required when you have no one else to blame for the conditions of your life. Other people's chaos, which is again this 5 of Wands. Other people's chaos. Where was I? Becomes a smoke screen that muddles the real truth. Again, I said it was like it's distracting your vision, not helping you see your potential, or in this case, your truth. Deep down, you're afraid of the consequences of taking charge of your life. However, all is not lost. You would not be here reading these words if you weren't ready or strong enough to make these changes. You are up-leveling your life. Lilith is beside you to lend you the strength and courage to do the right thing for yourself and others. So if there's a sense of feeling like blocked, or like life is not flowing for you in the necessary way, if you are not feeling supported, if you are feeling uncertain about relationships and you're questioning things, listen to your intuition. It's time to leave whatever toxic dynamic this is. It's time to get unstuck and face the confrontation, face the chaos, face the stress or the tension. Don't ignore it any longer. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't create stability by not honoring your own truth and your own reality. That's not a real stability. And I did roll this Aquarius dice, and there's something so Aquarius about this of being so detached that you kind of become aloof, and that's not what we want. We want you to be engaged in your heart and find true stability in this situation, which means that you have to be honest with yourself and others and make the necessary changes that go along with that. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Leo. I hope that makes sense. If it does, please do comment down below if it resonates, or if you want to share anything. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have my fellow Virgo risings or Virgo suns. So this Pisces eclipse is happening in your 7th house, which means that the sun is in your 1st house at this time. And this is an interesting one. It does involve Saturn and Neptune on the moon. So there can be quite a bit of kind of tense energies that can come from the combination of these planets. One of the words that keeps coming to me is like melancholy, or like challenging our hope. And this could happen in your relationships. And this is trying to create some kind of energetic alignment within your relationships. A Pisces eclipse is about understanding what your soul's deep desire and purpose is. And when that comes to others, is this the right person at this time of my life that my soul really wants? Or am I just attached to them? Am I just in this place with them because X, Y, and Z, because that's what I do. That's what I committed to. There's a sense of like duty that can come with Saturn, but Neptune can dissolve that duty by asking us what we really want, what really feels intuitively right. And I think duty and intuition are not always on the same page. And that is what I'm seeing here very strongly for you. And we do have some career stuff coming up too, which I'll talk about. But there's this very strong distinction, this polarity that's happening within you guys that I haven't seen in the other readings. And this could be because this is a major eclipse for you, but I'm seeing almost this like bipolar energy of being this, having the depressive and then the manic, or this being very excited, being very hopeful, and then being very anxious and like stagnant, moving forward really quickly and committed, and then stalling yourself and again being really kind of worried about the situation. So there's this sense of like stop and go, stop and go, stop and go that I feel your energy is bringing to the equation. And I think that this Pisces eclipse is really trying to help clear this all out of you so that you can really get all of yourself on board, all of yourself in alignment. So you can trust your intuition, you can believe in the thing that you're trying to move towards so that you can move forward steadily. You don't have to race forward, but you also don't consistently kind of like do detours or take random breaks or question yourself. And it's like you're undoing some of that fast action you took before, if that makes sense. And this could be in regards to a relationship, or this could be in regards to career, because this eclipse is squaring your Jupiter in the 10th house. Jupiter is the ruler of this eclipse, even in traditional astrology. And with this eclipse being the seventh has to do with contracts. The seventh has to do with commitments with other people. And with this squaring Jupiter in the 10th, that could very much relate to, where is my career going? Do I want to work with these people? Do I want to commit to this connection or this aligned goal that we have? Or do I have something else that I'm kind of needing to go explore? Because wherever we have Jupiter, we're meant to be trying something new, pushing ourselves, exploring outside of our comfort zones, learning more about ourselves. And for you, that's in the area of your goals, of your career, of your public image. And it could be that you have something to share in the world, because Jupiter, especially in Gemini, is a lot about sharing your wisdom, sharing your knowledge, sharing things that you've experienced or learned about. So there's something that I feel like you're meant to share, that you're meant to kind of get out there in terms of your, again, career or purpose or life direction or goals. And the relationship element plays a role in that, plays a big role in that. It could be the relationships of colleagues, it could be your partner, it could be family members or important relationships in your life that are or aren't on the same page, and it's likely that there's some friction here of like, yeah. Or it could just be that these areas of your life, maybe they don't feel connected, but it's almost like you have to be around the right people in order for you to be on the right path and in the right direction. So it's almost like if you have the wrong people in your life, they can be distracting to you. Or even if you don't have the wrong people, but it's just not the people that enhance your life, you might start feeling like you're kind of missing your true north. So I think that relationships have a lot to deal with this stop and go energy, more than maybe you realize. And solving that area of your life, I think, will clear up a lot in terms of what you want, who you are, where you're going, what you believe is possible, because the people that are closest to you really have a strong influence on that, whether you want to believe that or not. And so that, I think, is a huge message here for you guys, is it's time to start clearing up relationships. And with Mercury being your planetary ruler, it being in Virgo in your first house, opposite Saturn in the 7th, there are some hard conversations and some hard decisions that you likely have to make that involve other parties. And again, this could be a contract or a business that you work with. This could be a friendship that you need to talk to, a partner that you need to address something with. But there's something here where it's like you kind of have to face the music. And this is often times when we start to get like a little bit black and white, this or that, this division can happen with Saturn. And so we don't want that, but I think that that's kind of the energy of this eclipse with Mercury opposite Saturn. There is that divisive type of like, we have to make a decision. It's like, it's this way or it's that way, and we can't have both ways. There is a little bit of that, but we don't want to go into like extremes or be excessively cold or, throw everything out and be like, F all this. But there is kind of some line in the sand here that has to be drawn where it's like, I'm not coming back from that. There is no like undoing this after I say it. I can't unquit my job, right? I mean, maybe you can, but that's just weird. And yeah, and Mars at this time is squaring the nodes. Mars in your 11th squaring the nodes in the 8th second house axis. So there's something here where I feel like you are, with the North Node in your 8th house, it's like you're kind of meant to be going into uncharted emotional waters or like risky emotions. Or with the 8th house, it's like I'm taking an emotional risk by being vulnerable. I'm taking maybe a financial risk by pairing up with this person or by leaving this person. There's a sense of like, I'm moving through the murky waters of the shadow self, of my fears, of my insecurities, of my uncertainties, all those things. It's like I'm with the North Node there. I'm willing to face those emotions. I'm willing to face the consequences of certain decisions and the emotions that come from that. And that's like a general purpose, I think, of having the North Node in your 8th. And with Mars in your 11th squaring the North Node in the 8th, there may be some part of you that's really considering everybody. It's like, well, how is this going to affect them? How is this going to affect my friendship? How is this going to affect my sense of community or my sense of belonging, or wanting things to be harmonious or wanting to not rock the boat? And this Mars energy is asking us to take action and confront some of those difficult feelings, even if that does create some disruption for us in our relationships, but realizing that ultimately it's helping us move to what we really desire in our relationships. So yeah. Okay. Let me talk a little bit more about these cards. So you have 8 of Wands and then the Hierophant. So there's something about you where I feel like you are large and in charge, with this Hierophant, 8 of Wands. Hierophant is somebody who is they kind of follow the rules. They are doing the traditional and practical thing. They are dotting all their I's, crossing all their T's. They are in charge in that sense. They have they have like the support of a system behind them, and they are following that system. And the 8 of Wands is like they're moving quickly through it. So whatever this looks like for you, I don't know what this pertains to. Maybe this is work or something, but it's like, okay, I got this promotion, now I'm going to this, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And I'm like confident if I just keep myself in line that I'm going to move forward quickly if I don't deviate from that kind of set path of how people do things in this situation. But then we have the Hangman and the 9 of Swords. And I think that some of this is like, and this Hierophant could also be, if it's talking about relationships, could also signify, well, we're going to get married. We're going to continue moving forward, and like all the momentum, we're going to move forward quickly. Like we're going to establish this tradition in our relationship of marriage, because that's like what society says to do. And so there's that. It could be really any area of life. It doesn't just have to be those two, but those are the primary ones. And then we have the polarity of the Hangman and the 9 of Swords, which is, actually, I'm not so sure. I'm really anxious. Something is causing a hiccup. I'm going to pause here. I'm really overthinking this now because I was moving forward really fast and I was doing everything the way I should have been doing it. But now this thing is happening, and now I'm just getting totally thrown for a loop, and I'm just not sure. And you could really like swing between both of these, where something good happens and you're like, yes, I'm committed. I'm doing this. I'm flowing with this. And then you could swing in the other direction where like, actually, heels kind of halting, like, I really don't know. I am feeling uncertain about this. And there's something about this where I feel like with this co-creation card in the middle, it's almost like there is a way for you to create what you want out of life, because these feel like they're two kind of extremes. And this Hierophant card, it's almost like somebody thinking really inside of the box. But this eclipse, which I haven't been talking too much about the fact that it's in a kite, but this eclipse is a part of a kite. And it is making a sextile to Uranus in your ninth house. So there's something about this where I truly do feel like there is an attachment to the way that you think things go. Like, oh yeah, this is how things go. Like, you get married, you buy a house, you have a kid, you go in this direction, and that's life. Or like, you go to this kind of corporate job and you get a promotion, you wait this amount of time, you ask for this, and then I'll slowly get to what, or I'll eventually get to where I want to go. And you're kind of like moving quickly, because I shouldn't say slowly, because the Eight of Wands. But then you have other parts of you that are like, wait, but this doesn't totally feel right. Like, something feels off here, or something happened where I feel like, is this going to be the rest of my life? Like, do I really want to live in this house and spend my whole life with this person? Does that actually feel good? Does it actually feel good to go to this job every day? And there's this kind of like existential questioning and this stopping of your energy. And this co-creation card to me is saying it's time for you to weave your own reality, where you are taking into account the part of you that is in resistance to this, because there's a reason you are feeling this way. And I don't think it's right. This is a Pisces eclipse. It's about listening to your emotions and your intuition. I don't think it's right to bulldoze the part of you that is pumping the brakes, the part of you that's anxious or asking yourself lots of questions or is uncertain about something. That part of you is representing an unmet need in whatever this is. And for some, it could come from other things like a fear or self-sabotage. Like, there is all that stuff too. But I really get the feeling that there's something here that you need to include or integrate into your life in order for the situation to work. I almost feel like there's a box or a tradition or a way of doing things that you're trying to fit yourself into, that you're trying to go along that path, this kind of set, defined path. And you're having anxiety about it because that's not actually the right thing for you. And there's something in this path that, or there's an alternate route that combines elements of this path and maybe elements of another path together to make a lot of sense for who you are and what you want and where your soul wants you to go. And that's what a Pisces eclipse is about. What does your soul want from you? Where have we gotten off track? And for you, Virgo, I feel like this is super strong. There's something I think that we've been following tradition with that we've kind of gotten a little off track with, that does serve a purpose. So we shouldn't ignore that. But there are elements of that we can bring into our life that I think should not be a standalone. It's like we have to weave our own reality. And this co-creation card talks about not being attached to the specific form, but being invested into the essence of what this thing feels like. And that, I think, is a message of there's a way that you're going about something, or there's a person that you're trying to be with, or a job that you're trying to fit into, that part of it works. Part of its essence really works for you. But there are other parts that really don't work for you. And being very attached to that job or that person or that form of whatever that is not healthy, because there are elements of that essence that feels misattuned, out of alignment with your soul, and your soul is anxious and not moving forward properly at certain times because of that. And so how can we go back to the drawing board and kind of like deconfigure our life, pull these pieces apart and start looking outside and start pulling in other elements that we never considered, and start bringing in our own kind of concoction of what we can have. And I think a lot of it is establishing clarity. And I think that there can be a lot of confusion or uncertainty. And when you are in this period of confusion, uncertainty, and anxiety, Spirit wants you to look for a sign, to ask God for a sign, to ask for some kind of like indication that will help clarify exactly what about this situation doesn't work for you. Because it could be something little, something nuanced that you pick up, or it could be something really big that you are not wanting to admit to yourself. But there's a sign here that can confirm what is working and what isn't working. And then the other step is to believe that you can actually have the life of co-creation, that you can have that feeling, that essence, that thing that you're looking for, not getting attached to the form, but believing that truly that essence is meant for you and that you can absolutely have that's available for you. So this might be a phase of not having all the answers, deconstructing and reconfiguring, looking for signs, looking for clarity, and believing in the unknown, believing in the essence and not the form, and trusting that process, because Pisces is significantly about trust in what we cannot see, in the divine. And you might have to make some hard decisions even in that uncertainty. But I do think that it will starting to solidify and clarify over these next few months, and even more so with this eclipse happening in Libra, the new moon eclipse. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you. I do kind of want to pull one more advice card. So one more advice card, Spirit. Abundance. So I feel like you need to know that abundance is coming. Jupiter is in your 10th house. This is a time where new career opportunities can abound. So there is abundance on the other side of this, and there's a lot more available for you. So don't get stuck in your current paradigm of reality thinking that there aren't other opportunities, there aren't other options, there aren't ways to grow, because this abundance card is telling me that there's actually a lot of other ways that are available to you. It might not happen right now because this is a weird eclipse, but this is a time where when Jupiter is moving through your 10th, you're going to have opportunities open up to you. But you do have to also be open. You do also have to believe and try and put yourself out there in order for those things to actually come in for you. And so if you automatically discount it and don't believe, then you're going to block that abundance. So just be very open and connected to, again, the essence, not the form. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. I hope that resonates. If it does, or if you enjoyed this at all, please do comment down below. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Libra rising and sun. So for you guys, this Pisces eclipse on the 17th is taking place in your 6th house with Saturn and Neptune involved, opposite the sun in Virgo in your 12th. So having an eclipse in your 6th house, first of all, if any of you guys are having health stuff come up, or mental health, like mental emotional health stuff come up, that's really a normal along this axis. And ultimately, this eclipse is about aligning ourselves with what feels like our soul desire for either a relationship, a job, or a path in our life. Like we are coming to terms with what our soul really wants. And if there's something that doesn't fully match with that, we will question it. And even if it does match, we will question it. But one of the things that questioning does is it's a very useful tool. With this rebirth in reverse, this card talks about questioning our stories. I think questioning, again, is a very useful tool, but it can also be a detriment. So it's kind of like, depends on how excessive it goes. But in this context, I think it's important to question. It's important to question the stories that we tell ourselves about certain things. Like, oh, I thought life was going to look like this. I had this expectation of this in my work. I wanted things to look like X, Y, and Z. I have this story that I'm telling myself about something already happening in my life, and it's kind of constructing this reality. And the 6th house is the 6th and 12th house axis can really feel like the underdog, or, like the victim, the person that's kind of like having to serve somebody above them. And there's a sense of not always feeling so empowered. And so this card in reverse, I think in many ways is talking about taking your power back by constructing the story of the reality of the situation in a way that empowers you and serves you. So let's say, for example, you are stuck in a dead-end job. You tell yourself, I'm stuck in a dead-end job. Then that becomes your reality and you don't see a way out. But if you are in a job and you're like, I am temporarily in this job to save up some money, And I'm looking forward to and excited about all the opportunities that await outside of this. And I'm already looking into what that could be for me and what I'm excited about. This is a totally different perspective. It's like they're both at the job. They're both maybe in it for the same reason, to pay off debt or to save money. But then the goals and the outcomes and the directions are totally different because of the stories around the situation. And so whatever this is concerning, could be anything, but the story that you are telling yourself needs to kind of be re-examined in a way that empowers and serves you at the time of this eclipse. And Neptune, Pisces, this can create this kind of illusion of powerlessness, illusion of being stuck or not having a way out, or of, yeah, just being like trapped in a situation, a relationship, a thing that you're like, oh, this is it. And even if you're not thinking that, but it's like it can create stories around those dynamics that, again, are not totally honest with the dynamic or with your accountability in it or your power in it. And Saturn being in Pisces can help bring that out of you. It can help you take the accountability and see things more realistically. Yeah. This moon is also squaring, this eclipse is squaring Jupiter in your ninth. So there's a lot around like faith and belief and vision around the future that I think you also need to be aware of, because the stories we tell ourselves now construct our future. So it's important because we want to tell stories that empower our future to become what we want it to become, but not get so attached to certain things that if it doesn't look or feel exactly that way right now, that we don't become super disheartened or discouraged by that. And so I think that there's also another message here, because I did pull a card that says a year from now. And I did also pull above this 10 of Pentacles and 6 of Pentacles. So to me, this is something, this could be financial, material, like a house, or, you know, having a family. But there's something here where I feel like you guys want your just dues. You want to become financially well off because of the effort you've been putting into something. You want to feel like you're the one on top, not the one serving somebody else. You want to feel empowered in your decisions and, again, feel like you have the say over something. You want to feel like you're getting fair pay, or the thing that you really want is coming back to you. If you want to have a family, you're having that family. If you want to buy a house, you're buying that house. You want those things. You want those things probably now. And with this eclipse, I feel like there might be a journey to get there. And this a year from now card to me is saying it might take a full year for those things to completely manifest for you, whatever that looks like for you, whatever this like hope for stability, because 10 of Pentacles is a stabilizing kind of, my wish and my needs are both fulfilled. So I don't think you're just going to have it like that. And this eclipse is trying to bring up some energy around that, where if you have disappointments, if you have certain things don't work out the way you wanted them to, it's like, what's the story that you're telling yourself around those things in your life? Because your path is getting there, but you don't want to tell yourself stories that takes you further away or delays it and moves it further from your grasp. And so this connection with the future, with this eclipse squaring Jupiter in the ninth, is how do we stay really aligned with our vision, with what we want, with what our soul desires, without becoming super, super rigid and attached to the journey of what that will look like? Because I don't think it's going to happen the way that you think it's going to happen. And how do we still maintain hope and belief and a strong mental fortitude, strong conviction, good health to get us there? Those are the questions that we should be asking ourselves. And your planetary ruler, Venus, is in your first house in Libra, opposite Chiron, in the 7th. So you may be going through some relationship woes. Like, you may be uncertain about how people fit into your life, or how good you feel or bad you feel in regards to other people or in comparison to other people. And these planets are sextiling Jupiter in the ninth. So it's really trying to again, help you kind of rewrite a story around that. Don't get stuck in those thoughts. I also pulled the Page of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, and then the Eight of Cups. So to me, it feels like there's a lot of like new exciting things that you have coming up in your life with these Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Wands. Even if it's not here yet, you're like on the precipice of it, or it's already starting in your life. Something that you're very passionate about, something that is going to change your physical reality. But with this Eight of Cups, I really feel like this is a card of walking away from something, of letting something go. And so there's something in this process that you may have to grieve, like grieve your old self. It might be like bittersweet, you know, like if you move somewhere, you change jobs, like you might be excited about having something new, but bittersweet about leaving old things and people behind that were really stabilizing for you or really supported you. The Eight of Cups can also symbolize, again, on this longer journey, things not always going as planned, and certain things like can fall through the cracks or not turn out, can disappoint you in some way, not turn out the way that you want. You can feel disillusion. And this reading, I feel like for you guys, for whatever reason, maybe it's the Jupiter in your ninth, this reading feels a lot more like future oriented. There is stuff happening now, but this feels like a long term, like beyond eclipse cycles, which is 6 months. Again, with this year from now card, I really feel like this is talking about the entire rest of the year. Not just 2024, but the entire next 12 months. And there's something here where it's trying to kind of like warn you that there's things along your journey that may feel like a disappointment because it didn't manifest like how you thought it would, and to not take that story and make it mean something and run with that and pigeonhole yourself in that, because that's not true. What you want is coming for you. What you want will happen, but it's going to maybe be a different way or a different timeline. And I think you guys really need to hear that during this eclipse for whatever reason, because it's trying to set you up for something that might take longer to unfold. And you need to understand the pace of this is not always what you think it's going to be, but you will land exactly where you want to land with this Ten of Pentacles. This is a card of abundance, of success, of stability, of family happiness, financial happiness, overall this sense of well-being. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Libra. If that resonates with you, if that speaks to anything that you need to hear, please do let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to also give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right. Up next, we have Scorpio rising and sun. This Pisces eclipse is happening on the 17th of September in your 5th house, along with Neptune and Saturn. And it's opposite the sun, because it's a full moon, in Virgo in your 11th house. So what is this all talking about? Okay. I kind of feel like I have two different messages for you guys with the cards. But I will say a Pisces eclipse is all about connecting with our soul's true desires. Why did we come here in this lifetime? Have we gotten kind of like messed up along the way? Have we gotten a little off track or overly focused on materialistic things that are actually not totally in alignment? Have they become a distraction to us? Not to say that we shouldn't want materialistic things, but if they are not part of our path, sometimes we can get deterred because, oh, this was the tradition. This is what we should do. This is the direction you should head. And we feel this pressure and we can get a little off track. So this eclipse is really about totally feeling into the things in our life and seeing if that feels right for us. And with this being in your 5th house, a lot of this could involve like dating and relationships and connections with other people. And also just like the way that you feel in your heart. Maybe some of you want kids as well. There could be something with family or children that come up. But those are generally the areas like your creativity, your relationships, your kids, what lights your soul on fire. Those are the things that you're kind of needing to check in with yourself right now to see, do I feel really aligned with these things in my life? Do I feel aligned with my creative projects or lack of creative projects, or the person that I'm dating or not dating, or how I'm going about dating? Or do I feel like I'm on the path to have kids, or do I want that? Or, what do I need to do differently in my life to align for that if that's something that my soul really desires? So these kinds of questions, because we can kind of get again a little off track. If you always said you wanted to have kids, but then you start going down another avenue that takes you away from home and you never meet partners, and it's like you say you want something, but then the actions are not aligning with that. So this eclipse is all about aligning those actions. And let's talk about some of the cards I'm seeing. So I got the 4 swords, 2 swords in reverse, and 10 of pentacles. So there's something in your life with the 4 swords that I feel like is not moving forward, or it could be that you are uncertain of it and you are kind of in a place of like resignation or rest, or especially with the 2 swords, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not moving towards that. Maybe it's something that I want. Like, for example, with the 10 of pentacles, this could be, I want a lot of money or something different in my career. I want to start my own business. I want to have a family. I want to buy a house. These big things that 10 of pentacles can represent that stabilize and root our lives. Maybe you want some of those things, but with these cards in reverse, there can be a lot of uncertainty. So it's like, if you're in school, like, well, what do I want to study? What would be my direction? I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to kind of like sit here in limbo because I'm not sure. Or what kind of person should I date, or should I even date, or am I ready for that? And I don't know. There's just so many unknowns, so many questions that I feel like I'm getting the sense of passive energy, that you guys are not actively working on what your soul desires. And I feel like there are decisions that you need to make and conversations that you need to have in order for this to happen. With this communication card in reverse, it's like, how do I kind of make up my mind? How do I have this, again, right conversation and clear things up and get things like moving on this path, whether that involves someone else or not? But how do I kind of get things moving forward? I first have to get unstuck. I have to get clear. And that can mean that I talk to certain people, or that I, again, make certain decisions that start to catalyze the energy a little bit. And so instead of just thinking and thinking and thinking, or not thinking and just resting, or whatever that is. And I really feel like this is going to happen with this card within the next few months. So something is going to happen within the next few months that will help you make a decision or have a conversation that will clear something up for you, so that you can start to actually move forward, have momentum, and not feel like, okay, I want financial stability, I want a family, I want to buy a house, but like, things are so slow. What's going on? There's still something here where this slowness is coming from you. And there could be things outside of you, and we'll get to that. There can be things outside of you that slow you down, but there's some uncertainty here with you, or some like passiveness here with you, that is also leading to like a pause on whatever this is. Okay. Mars, your planetary ruler, is in your 9th house, squaring the nodes. So there's something about this where we're all kind of at this crossroads where we need to make a decision. We need to take action. We need to not be passive with something. And for you, this is in the 9th house. So there's something that I feel like you need to decide that you are believing in, or that you are seeing in your future, or that you are kind of like committing to in terms of your direction, and saying like, this is who I want, or what I want, and where I'm going, and I'm committed to that, and this is how I'm going to get there. That's that kind of Mars energy. And it might be scary sometimes because there are lots of unknowns and a lot of things you have to figure out on a practical level for that to happen. But there's a sense of like, I need to decide that this is what I want with my life. I need to decide that this is a person I'm going to move forward with, or whatever that is, instead of like I'm not sensing a back and forth necessarily, though that may happen to you, but I'm sensing like I just want to know. I'll just deal with that later. I don't know, so I'll just deal with that later. This moon is squaring Jupiter in the 8th. So I feel like with Jupiter in the 8th, there is a need to kind of, wherever Jupiter is, there's a need for us to kind of dive into that area of our life, explore uncharted territory, grow by challenging ourselves. And with the 8th house, it's like I grow by challenging myself to like face certain fears. And this could be in relationships. Like I have to face certain vulnerabilities that I haven't faced before, or I have to take certain risks with my life or my money that I haven't done before. And that's scary, but all the feelings of uncertainty and self-doubt that come with that, or committing to a certain path and having to deal with all the feelings that can come up around that are shadowy. So there's a sense of having to move through that, push through any of those kind of that self-doubt that can come through. And that communication card is like, let's clarify, let's communicate with spirit, let's communicate with people, let's communicate with a therapist, or if this entails or involves other people or situations, it's like, let's talk it all out. Because I feel like bottling it all up and just thinking about it or ruminating or deciding to do it later is not working for you. And you really need to have the help of other minds, other people coming together, really being open to other ways of thinking about things or different ways to try things or advice, and, seeing if that feels good for you, assimilating that if it feels good, and not if it doesn't. But there's a sense of like, having an open dialogue will really benefit you in helping to clarify whatever this is in your life that you feel is kind of at a crossroads or stagnating a little bit. These other cards, I see 5 of Wands, 3 of Cups in reverse, and Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I think that some of you guys might be in a phase of your life where you might feel like either money or relationships are not where you want them to be. And it could be causing you some level of anxiety. And this could be both if that's the case for you. But the 5 of Wands is like, it can indicate like arguments, but it can also just indicate internal pressure that you feel from wanting something that you don't have, being pulled in many directions, uncertain of what to do. So there's a sense with the 3 of Cups in reverse where you might feel like disappointed by your friends. You might feel like let down by certain people. Or with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, you might feel like money is like harder to come by, or it's really hard to balance your work-life balance and taking care of yourself and things that you really want, and taking care of your material reality. So there's something in regards to either one of these that I feel like is depleting you guys, is revving you up, but having nowhere to go in terms of like anxiety, basically energy. And I think that also has to deal with, Mars, your planetary ruler, squaring the nodes. It's like, there's something about this that I think is trying to get you guys to, again, make a decision. So it's like, how do we create a little bit of anxiety or things not maybe working in certain areas of their life, to have them check in with themselves more fully in their hearts to make a decision about their future and where they're going and where they're headed. So yeah, I want to pull, let me read. We also have the Ambition card in reverse. So let me see what that says in this book. I think that's 39. So my camera's about to die. Are you so determined to win right now that you're running like a racehorse with blinders on your eyes? Beware of unbridled ambition and the strident need to win. You may have become influenced by your wants and forget to ask yourself if what you want is for your highest good. Perhaps the job you want so badly won't be good for you, or that unavailable partner you're so determined to be with will never love you back. Nike gives you alignment task of now getting real with yourself. That is exactly what's going on here. I'm like, something is disappointing you in your life right now, but you might be super committed to whatever it is. And you might not like see that there's another way, or that there's another path or another person or another job or whatever that's actually better for you. This is not going to be the message for all of you, but yeah, there's something that I feel like just isn't totally flowing in your life. There's 2 different messages. There was the first message of you not committing to something, like not knowing your future and having that decision made. And then there's another group of you, or maybe another aspect of your life that's going on where something is like not meeting your needs, or is disappointing you, or is not what you want it to fully be, but you're like really holding on to it. And maybe even feeling envious of other people who have that thing that you want. But I feel like there's something out of this where there's a little bit of something that needs to be adjusted for your alignment. Like, maybe you need to change something about yourself or your perspective, or you maybe need to, let me pull another advice card. Let me pull an archetype. Hopefully my camera doesn't die. Spirit, what do you want them to do with this first set of cards? What do you want Scorpios to do? So we have the riddle. Interesting. So it's like there's something that you need to figure out. A riddle is something that you solve, right? It's a bunch of words that come together to point you in a specific direction, but they don't make it clear. And that could be what life feels like right now. Like, why isn't this easy? Why isn't this moving forward? What is missing? What am I not getting here? What do I need to solve or resolve within my life? And I feel like there's something here that is like a missing piece or the riddle that needs to be, again, solved. And this could be part of you, part of the relationship, part of that dynamic, part of that goal, like whatever this entails or involves. It could be on either party or both parties, but there's something here that needs to be adjusted and not just like, oh, I want that and that's the only way I want it and I'm going to be jealous of people who have it. And yeah, it's like, no, maybe I need to adjust my behavior to solve the riddle. So maybe I need to adjust the goal to solve the riddle. Again, this is going to vary from person to person, but it seems like it's something that you need to kind of like dig into, explore, and have a lot of deep self-awareness in order to solve whatever this is. So this feels a little bit less clear than the other groups, but I hope that this message or these messages, since there's like two distinct messages, I kind of feel like Scorpios are going through a lot of diverse experiences right now. But if one of or both of these resonates, then please let me know in the comments down below. I hope that it made enough sense to be helpful for you. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Sagittarius rising and sun. For you guys, this Pisces lunar eclipse is happening in your 4th house. And I'm really getting quite strong messages around money and stability. And that is what I feel like the 4th house has to deal with. It's our home, it's our family, it's our sense of security. And this could be having a savings. This could be having a backup plan or feeling like you have a support system. But in general, having an eclipse in the 4th house is trying to align you with with it being in Pisces. It's trying to align you with what your soul really desires. And it's asking you that in terms of your emotions as well as your security and financial security. What do you feel like you might need to change in your life to feel like you are being satisfied with your sense of stability in life? And this full moon is making a square to Jupiter in the 7th house. So this could involve some changes in relationships. The Jupiter in the 7th house indicates that you are in a phase of needing to grow your relationships. And this could mean that you might need to pair up with important people that can help you get the results that you're looking for. This might indicate a mentor, a teacher, or a group or community that you can become more a part of in order to feel like you are having that sense of security. This could also indicate just in general needing to have some changes in your approach to relationships in order to feel better emotionally or to feel better within your family unit or the place that you're living. So your current way of kind of operating within relationships will affect those areas of your life primarily. So Neptune, Saturn, and the moon are all together in your 4th house, and the sun is opposite it in the 10th. So this is definitely a time where you're still feeling a heavy emphasis on career, life direction, public image, public impact. And so again, I think all this kind of ties into, well, where am I at in life? Am I financially where I want to be? Do I feel like I'm making a name for myself? How do I maybe need to shift the way I am interacting with others or putting myself out there? Or the kinds of people that I have in my life that surround me, how are they promoting my sense of security and my direction out in the world, or are they taking away from that? Those are some big questions that we can ask ourselves. So I want to talk about, actually really quick, Jupiter is your planetary ruler. So having Jupiter in the 7th house is going to put a super extra emphasis on just relationships in general this year for you guys. And so and especially because Jupiter's in Gemini, it's all about widening our scope of relationships. That means maybe trying to meet different people than we normally would, or go about our relationships in different ways than we normally would, and kind of try to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone and maybe ask for more things from other people than we normally would as well. So that's something that I'm seeing here. Is I feel like there's a message that you guys need to hear, that if you are a little bit anxious around your career or around money, or kind of like how things are going within your home and within your family and within your like long-term security, I think that you need to hear a message that things will improve, the situation will improve, which is one of your cards here. But also, one of the really strong messages is this need to take action. And I see this with this take action card and the stillness in reverse. So there's something in your life that I feel like you need to act on in order to create more collaboration, more support, so that you don't enter into this next phase of your life feeling like, oh, I don't have enough of X, Y, and Z. I don't have enough support. I don't have enough money, or whatever it is. Like, let's say, for example, you plan on having a kid. Well, this could look like you needing to take action to get your ducks in a row to create that sense of security and stability for yourself, whether that's, creating a certain environment in the home, or saving money, or reaching out to create support system within your family or within a network of friends so that you have all hands on deck. But there's something here where it's like, I know I'm coming into a new phase of my life, so let me make sure I have the resources and the things that I need to feel safe, to feel secure within my home, within my safety net, within my nest, within my family, within my finances, to feel like I'm going to be good to go. But there's something in regards to this that I feel like you guys need to take action on, that you've been stalling a little bit with. And I see that with the Hangman and the Hierophant. This is going to kind of depend on what phase of life you're in, what you're doing, basically, what's going on in your life. But the Hierophant, the Hangman is a card of kind of pausing or stalling or indecision. And so that's the energy that I'm seeing. You need to get out of that and take action. But the card after that is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant has to deal with things that are within the traditional scope, things that are legalized, or there's a system or documentation for how it's done. There is like a specific manner or process for how to go about it in order to get the right results. And there's a proven methodology that is backed up with time and maybe a community and resources. So this could look like somebody going to school for a certain degree. This could look like somebody getting a will because they have money if they've never legally dictated what to do with it. This could look like somebody deciding to get married and change their tax status that will benefit them and their family. This could look like, formally starting a business, or or working with a mentor, or doing something that is, again, working with somebody or an institution or a process that's already kind of good at what they do, or they do that thing all the time, and they have a set methodology. It's you kind of going through the process of that. That could look like getting certified, getting paperwork done, again, doing stuff at the bank or home or whatever. It's like, it's not always like sexy, that kind of activity, but it's super necessary to feel that you have the credentials, or that you have the means, or the safety and security to kind of protect what's yours, or to go after things that you want in a bigger way. And so I think that you guys are kind of being asked to legalize something, or legitimize something, or study more of something, or put more into something in a kind of professional or traditional manner in order to get the results of security and stability and support that you're looking for. I hope that makes sense. I also pulled the peaceful resolution card. So if you guys are having any issues with whatever this is in your life, if you're feeling stressed about it, maybe you're stressed about not having enough support or money, or maybe you're having issues with people in your life and you're a little bit worried about, how your relationships will grow and adapt with you. This is saying that there's going to be a peaceful resolution. And I do see that with the Queen of Pentacles upright and Eight of Swords reversed. I feel like you're going to come out of a phase of not knowing how to create balance in your life or create financial stability. The Queen of Pentacles is not only somebody who financially can take care of themselves, but it's also somebody who can take care of a family. This is obviously someone pregnant, can take care of themselves and can make a name for themselves out in the world. So they really have this kind of work-life balance thing all figured out. And so this is somebody who has time for relationships, has time for friends and family and a career and working out and spirituality. And it's like they're able to kind of juggle it all in a way that makes it feel seamless. And you might underestimate how hard that is. And so you might find that, again, that you need extra support or you need to make some changes in order to create that ability to juggle it all, that balance. But I definitely see you doing that with the Eight of Swords in reverse. I feel like you're going to find some kind of solution when you take action on whatever that traditional thing is that I've mentioned. Whenever you take action on that, I see you coming into a better work-life balance and finding that you're less stressed or less pulled in too many different directions. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm seeing for you guys. I definitely feel like some of you guys may need to like change up what you're doing with your finances, or like where you're investing, or where you are, like what you buy or what debt you have, or if you have debt, or trying to find a different way to market yourself or get more money. There's something around your like material wealth that, or reality, that I feel like you need to ask yourself, what's a different and unique way of going about this? And the reason I say that is because I rolled the dice and I got the second house, Uranus and Aquarius. This is all very much like changing an inventive type of energy around your finances. But then we also have the Hierophant here, which is all about tradition. So I still think you're supposed to do something through a more kind of set, established way. Like I mentioned, like maybe working with somebody who's in this industry, who's been doing it for a long time. But it's like you still need to shake up the way that you've been doing it. You have to break out of your own way of trying to make money or work with money or whatever, but also use the resources and the education and things that have already been established that have been proven to work. Use that as well to kind of mix up what you're doing and invest into that. If that makes sense. I'm having a hard time explaining this, but I think hopefully that makes sense. Mars at this time is in your 8th house, squaring the North Node in the 5th and South Node in the 11th. So this is a time where I feel like the 8th house is a lot about risk and how comfortable we feel with risk, financial risk. And that could entail taking on debt or merging resources with other people, going into business with other people. There is a certain amount of risk that comes with those activities. So Mars in the 8th house does indicate that you are meant right now to change the way that you take on risk. And with this squaring the nodes, I definitely feel like it's about taking action. And Mars squaring the nodes, it's asking us to take a different kind of action than we did before. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So ultimately, I feel like one of the things that this is trying to get you to do is seek outside help and resources and establish some kind of support system or some kind of community, or working under a mentor, or working with, a legal person, like a lawyer, or like a professional of some degree. I feel like you need some kind of merging of intellect, merging of assets, merging of skill sets to kind of draw out the best experience for you and get unstuck. Because I feel like there's something that, again, that you could take action on that would improve your situation, would create more security or stability for yourself long term, but you either haven't thought about it yet, or you're delaying it, or you need to legitimize it. You need to work with someone more or study something more. There's something around that I feel like would really benefit you, that, again, I feel like you haven't fully gone into to the extent that you could, and that it's kind of like you've been putting off. It's like, no, let's just legitimize this. Let's just make this like official, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's more that I could say, but that's the general message that I have for you guys. Let me pull just an archetype card. Spirit, any advice to this archetype deck for my Sagittarius? These cards are cool, but they're impossible to shuffle, so bear with me. Okay, so we have the Venom. So the Venom is interesting because Mars in the 8th does remind me of this Venom card. The Venom is the part of ourselves that's kind of like nasty. The part of ourselves that has a bite to it, that's venomous, that's a shadow self, but also natural and instinctual and protective. So there's something about your Mars in the 8th that you could be kind of like protective over taking certain risks or combining certain things or asking for certain help from other people. There might be something about you that's a little bit more like, no, I'm going to keep this to myself, or I don't trust people, or I don't want to involve other people, or that's one of the messages. And this is encouraging you to kind of step out of that, because with Mars squaring the nodes, it's important to really make a different kind of decision than we normally would in regards to what's bringing up this feeling. If that's not relating to you, this could also be talking about, oh my God, I had a train of thought and I just totally lost it. Wait one sec. I don't know. It must have not been important, but in general, I think that this card is talking about when you feel like this protective part of you come out, and like defensive part of you, like, I don't want to do that, or no, I don't need that, or straight up lashing out about something. That could be an indication of this Mars at play and needing to kind of dig deeper as to why there might be some resistance around legitimizing something or making a necessary change around something that will create more security, or seeking outside help. Like, where is that resistance coming from? And how can you dig a little deeper into your heart and mind to understand kind of how to get out of your own way with that. So that is what I'm seeing, Sagittarius. I hope that makes sense. Every time I do Sagittarius's reading, I feel like it doesn't make any sense. So let me know if it does in the comments down below. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next you have Capricorn rising and sun. This Pisces lunar eclipse on the 17th of September is taking place in your 3rd house. And I feel like I'm getting a pretty clear message for you guys. With this eclipse being in the 3rd house, there is a need to have a little bit of a shakeup in your mindset around things, your creative ideas, your perspective, even your beliefs, with the sun opposite this moon in the 9th house. I feel like you kind of got to get out of your own head in a way, especially because Neptune and Saturn are on this moon, and Neptune and Saturn create both a sense of delusion or disconnection from reality, as well as like a morose kind of negative way to look at things with Saturn. So looking at the lower end of the spectrum with this energy, it's possible to kind of like get really down with these kinds of eclipses and feel almost like you're stuck in a certain perspective that you need to shift in order to see what is possible. Because when you get so rigid or when you get so like stuck in a thought pattern or thought cycle, you can't see the creative solutions. And that's kind of what I feel like has been happening with this Ace of Swords in reverse. It's like you've maybe started to feel down about something, or like you're lacking the right idea for something or the creative imagination for something, not being able to find the solutions, only thinking about the problems and X, Y, and Z, and feeling, especially in regards to work or health. But it doesn't just have to be those areas, but in general, just feeling like maybe you're kind of, I don't know, just it feels almost like disempowered. Well, I don't have the solution. Like, this is how things are, and I don't know how to move forward from here. And I feel like this eclipse is going to shake that up a lot for you. It's going to get you more into this energy of flow, and with the Emperor card, more into this kind of like boss ass energy where you are able to start taking life into your own hands. The Emperor is somebody who knows how to organize their life. They understand how to create, how to be a leader, how to create the results that they're looking for. They know how to move mountains, to get unstuck, to lead people over those trenches that might be challenging. They don't let things kind of get them down. They really are they are the strongest in terms of leadership within the whole tarot. So there's something about it where you're coming from a place of being maybe unimaginative or morose or trapped in a certain mindset, and you're shifting as a result of this eclipse and whatever happens to you during it. You're shifting maybe even intellectually, emotionally, to kind of get unstuck and embody more of this empowered emperor energy that has a plan, that is able to lead themselves to the next best thing, that is able to overcome difficulties. And it feels, again, very much somebody who's like in control versus somebody who feels like life is controlling them or circumstances are controlling them. And this full moon does square, this eclipse full moon does square Jupiter in the 6th. So Jupiter in the 6th indicates, wherever we have Jupiter, indicates where we are meant to grow that year, where we're meant to test our boundaries, test our limits, try new things, go outside of our comfort zone, expand into our, into like our highest selves in that area of our life and really challenge ourselves. And if we don't do that, sometimes, the universe can put things into our life that forces us to. But regardless, this area for you is your daily routine, kind of how you manage your life, as well as how you manage your health, how you manage your time, how you manage your work, how you manage your responsibilities, how you do that in relation with other people as well. Like, do you answer people on time? Are you reliable? Are you a team player? All of those things, being of service to people, basically. Are you supporting other people in the way that they need to be supported? All of those things are 6th house topics. So mental and physical health, work and responsibilities, and management of our day-to-day life. So that's the area that I feel like for you guys, because Jupiter is in that house and it's squaring this eclipse, that area for you is trying to go through a metamorphosis, but you do have to adjust your mindset in order for that to kind of get on the same page. Because I feel like with this flow card, you may feel like you've been having this energy of start, stop, or you maybe struggle with like the timing with things, or it might feel like certain things are forced and other times they're flowing. And it's like this kind of inconsistent, uncertain energy where it's like, well, when am I going to do this? I don't know. I'll figure that out. Or I'm really disciplined about this week and then not this week. And then I'm disciplined about this area of my life, but not that area of my life. And it's like this sense of just like inconsistency. And I feel like that's what you guys are getting out of once you start to embody this emperor energy. I feel like this eclipse is going to help you shift your mindset and perspective around here is how, like, here, because this is a Pisces eclipse. So this is truly about alignment with the soul. So the soul tells you, what is the most important thing? What do I really, really need to accomplish in my life? What is meaningful to me as a soul and enriching and fulfilling to me as a soul? And then you can start to orient your life and your behavior and all of the ways that you go about accomplishing that to fit in alignment with what it is that you're trying to be, do, or have in this lifetime. Because the way that you go about getting something is equally important to the thing that you're trying to go about and get. It's like basically, who are you in the process of trying to go after something in your life or trying to become something? The manner of that, the integrity of that has to be in alignment. And so I feel like that's where everything is trickling down from. You maybe, for example, you are somebody who really feels that your soul wants and needs to prioritize relationships in this lifetime. Maybe you feel that is underdeveloped in your life, that you didn't have the chance to fully live certain elements of that out. And so going into a super intense job and then not making time for people outside of work wouldn't make sense for the kind of lifestyle that your soul wants. So this feels like seems like a lot about work, but it is like a lifestyle around the work, or a lifestyle around how we manage our life, that is really going to end up being in a state of flow, because I think that you're going to have very clear values and a mindset around what it is that you're looking to create, or who it is you're trying to be, and how you get there becomes a lot clearer once you know exactly what that looks like. So Saturn is your planetary ruler, and it's in Pisces on this eclipse. So I think the flow energy makes a lot of sense with having Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn again conjunct this moon. It's really trying to get you to understand that there's a different way, a different MO in order to work and accomplish things. For example, there are artists who maybe will get up at 3 a.m. or be awake until 3 a.m. working on an art piece, and all of it comes very fluidly, very naturally to them, and they work super, super hard, maybe for like 10 days straight, and then they take off like 3 months and they go travel the world, and then they come back and then they sell that art piece and they're successful. And it's like, what if there are different ways of attracting abundance? What if there are different ways of setting up our life and our organization that actually creates more of a state of flow, and that's super individualized? So you could look at what is expected of you, or what society tells you to do, or what time you should be at places, or what time you should do X, Y, and Z. But we all have a little bit of wiggle room to some degree in our life. And ultimately, I feel like there is something that you can shift around your perspective, or your perspective around what accomplishment and work and productivity looks like, in order to create more of this flow state, something that feels very natural and easy and fun and inspiring, rather than like very disciplined or regimented or austere, where you may again enter into that start stop, because you might not be able to sustain that level of discipline for long periods of time. So that's one of the messages. And I do have this peaceful resolution card. So whatever happens here, it is going to resolve itself well. So you don't have to worry about if you're stressing about something in your life. It is going to kind of move into calmer waters. So the next set of cards you have are the 10 of Wands reverse and Queen of Pentacles upright. So again, this has a very similar energy, but of someone kind of coming out a phase of really working themselves too hard, burning out, to learning how to establish a better work-life balance and really good priorities, and knowing what is really important to them, and making sure that that does not go wasted or ignored. And I have this salvation card, which to me indicates that this is going to save your life. By establishing this work-life balance, by having clear priorities, it's going to prevent like early health issues. It's going to make you happier longer. It's going to create better relationships. It's going to make life worth living. And Pisces is all about what makes my soul come alive, what makes my life worth living, and what I decided to do before I even came here. And that is what I think you're going to be tapping into. You do have Mars in Cancer in your 7th house squaring the nodes here in North Node in the 4th house, South Node in the 10th house. So I really feel like you guys need to change the way that you operate in relationships, because wherever Mars is where we are kind of needing to, we're at like a crossroads, and we're needing to make a different decision and take a different action than we normally do in that area. Or if we've been inactive, it's like we need to start taking action. So either one of those, it's like you're moving in a certain direction. And with Mars in the 7th, this is about relationships. So and this is also again squaring the nodes. So this could be a time where you need to make certain decisions in relationships that allow you to cultivate greater intimacy, greater closeness with your loved ones, with your family, that soul bond, a deeper connection on an emotional level of people. And maybe not thinking as much about, because the South Node in your 10th could indicate this heavy focus on career and ambition and finances. This could tell you that maybe it's time to create more of a relational orientation around like not how can I reach these goals with these badass people, but more so how can I feel like this person is part of my family. So I don't know what that relates to for you guys, but there's something where relationships are meant to kind of open you up emotionally right now, and maybe not be as much about progress out in the world and achievement and all this and that. So if you have relationships that stimulate a lot of that kind of external material reality for you, it might be helpful to ask yourself, maybe there are other kinds of relationships I can develop right now. Maybe I can meet friends that help me spiritually or help me because they have a family and I see that, and then maybe I want to have a family, or something that develops you internally by being around them, by being connected to them. And so that I think is a great focus for you. I also have a year from now. So if you have a question about when is something going to manifest for me, when am I going to see it come to life, this card says a year from now. So that is what I see for you, Capricorn. I hope this resonates. There's, of course, so much more to say. There's a lot going on in this eclipse, but it's a little bit too long. So if you want a reading from me, you can always check me out at cosmicclearastrology.com. If you enjoy this, please do comment down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Thanks. Bye. All right, I'm going to have Aquarius rising and sun. This Pisces lunar eclipse on September 17th is happening in your second house of finances and stability and self-worth. So this is definitely a time where I feel like you guys are having to kind of focus on maybe rebuilding a very strong sense of self-belief, independence, self-reliance, maybe even financially as well, where you're having to kind of rebuild yourself up after a loss, if that's relatable to you. But there's something here where it's like you guys are kind of having to overcome something. With the Three of Swords in reverse, there's maybe this sense of loss or heartbreak or something difficult that you went through, likely in a relationship, but could be financially as well, that really kind of broke you down in a certain way and made you maybe reevaluate a lot of things in your life. And ultimately, I feel like this kind of brought you to a low that will help you build yourself high again. And I really see that with the Seven of Pentacles right after. This is a card around playing the long game, thinking about what will serve you best in this long-term game of life. And so ultimately, you know, when you first go through a breakup or you first go through some kind of loss in a relationship or in life in any way, financially or whatever, it can really feel like that's the end of the world. It can feel like, you know, just you don't always see the future. You don't always see how this is a blip in time in a very long life that has so much else to offer you. And I feel like this eclipse is really trying to help you kind of, again, gain that self-respect, that self-value, that independence back, to kind of turn over a new leaf where you're starting to get over whatever happened to you, where you're starting to see how that is a blip in a long period of time and how you are working on something bigger and more substantial for yourself. Even if you don't see the results of all that right away, you are creating something for yourself that's lasting, that could create some kind of financial impact for yourself as well. But there's a sense of, I'm going to create stability by continuing to progress my life, by working on myself, doing the things I need to do to build up my confidence, to build up my skills, to build up my ability to make money, and kind of set off on my own and do that and set proper boundaries. I really see that with the Hierophant card. Normally, this is a card around like tradition and you know, finding some kind of like community or membership. But one of the things that came out to me with this Hierophant was a little bit more so around having like a line drawn in the sand, having like a firmness or a definition for something, clarifying something, having a boundary around something. There's a sense of like a solidness that I see coming through with the Hierophant of, I know who I am. I know what this is. I'm defining this. I'm not settling for anything less than this. There's this, again, this sense of like strong boundaries, strong sense of self that I'm getting from the Hierophant card. That feels, yeah, that feels like that kind of, yeah, it has a similar energy or frequency as like a tradition, as an institution. It's like these are the rules. This is how things are done. This is how we get results. There is no wavering outside of that. Work hard on this and you will accomplish something. So that might be applicable to some of you guys. Maybe you could go back to school or start studying or a new trade or doing something else that with the Seven of Pentacles has a long-term impact on you, especially financially. It does require a lot of effort and time, but will pay off for you, especially with the Ten of Cups. But also on a personal level, I feel like this card really talks about kind of defining who you are, what you tolerate, what your rules are for your life, so that your relationships or your choices, your directions in life really mirror that solid sense of self, which I think is super important about the second house. This eclipse is squaring Jupiter in your 5th house. And I think that wherever we have Jupiter is like a time for us to grow that area of our life, to test our boundaries, test our limits, get outside of our comfort zone. For you, this is in the 5th house. This is about your creativity. This is about your dating. This is about your pleasure. This is about children. It's basically anything that feels like it brings you a lot of joy and is an extension of you in some way, or kind of, yeah, just cultivates like a lot of good energy that maybe feels familiar to some extent. So the 5th house with Jupiter here, I feel like is really about connecting with our heart. We have to kind of like know who we are and what we want. And we develop, we develop that by kind of exploring different hobbies, traveling to new places, dating new people, having children, and seeing ourselves reflected in them. But there's a sense of like, we're trying to understand like how we feel about things and learn about our own heart and our own desires through the exploration of trying different things. Or if you already kind of know what you want, by developing those skills and like diving deep into those things and mastering them and then showing them to the world. That's like a very 5th house process. But something that I see for you guys is I feel like you're kind of in this phase, especially with Jupiter and Gemini in the 5th, this phase of like experimentation and trying things on and trying to see what fits. I see that with the adaptability and the 2 of Swords and 10 of Cups. It's like, what brings me joy? I need to kind of adapt and try different things and situations and places to live, or people to be around, or jobs to try, hobbies to do. I need to try these things on to discover like, what am I good at? What do I like? How do I want to make money? If you're trying to find a new job, for example, and you're like kind of going back to the drawing board, this could look like you trying on different things to find what really suits you. And if this is relationships, this could look like going on dates with different types of people from different places and see what really suits you. And again, with hobbies and places to live, all of the above. But there's a sense of being light on your feet, being adaptable and experimenting. And then with the 7 of Pentacles and Hierophant, committing to something and then going all in on something, stabilizing in something once you kind of feel like you have a sense of what you really desire. And this card says, listen to your intuition. This is your advice for today. So ultimately, you kind of know what is the next right thing by just listening to your intuition. But typically our intuition doesn't give us the final result. It gives us the next breadcrumb. It gives us a step without the context. So it takes a lot of trust, which is what this Pisces eclipse is about. It's about trusting in yourself, with this being in your 2nd house. Trusting that you have the stability within yourself, the confidence within yourself, the reliability within yourself, and the independence to be able to go out and try these new things on your own, or in whatever way that may feel like a risk to you or whatever, and not have all the answers, but listen to your intuition about, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll go here, and that eventually falls into place and really, again, concretizes into something meaningful that could make you money in the long term if this is financial, or could create a greater sense of self. So yeah, in general, it's about really being able to go with the flow. In traditional astrology, Saturn is your planetary ruler. Saturn is in Pisces. Saturn is conjunct this moon along with Neptune. So again, the adaptability piece with Pisces, the need to trust, the need to listen to your intuition, to follow what inspires you, to follow what feels creative is very, very strong. And then I can really see you kind of, again, getting out of this heartache or establishing something really solid for yourself after you have this exploration of the self and discover what it is that is next for you. So I think that's all that I have for you guys. Actually, one more thing. Mars is in Cancer in your 6th house, squaring the nodes in your 3rd, 9th house. So wherever Mars is, we're needing to make a different kind of decision. So if you've been inactive, this is you taking action. If you've been making the same kind of decisions, this is you making a different kind of decision. But it's a sense of like needing to shift our activity somehow. And for you, this is in the area of work and health. And it is, again, squaring your nodes. So this is about you, the same thing I was saying before, experimenting, playing around with things, seeing what else is out there, because the way that you've been going about your work or your health or your daily routines, the way that you've been going about that is not like good enough for you. Basically, you need to do something a little different, or you need to finally take action if you've been stalling. So that is all I have for you, Aquarius. If that resonates, I would love to hear from you down below in the comments. If you want a reading from me, check me out at cosmicclarityastrology.com. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and last but not least, you have Pisces rising and sun. This is a Pisces lunar eclipse in your sign. So this is a pretty significant eclipse for you. You guys may be having some really big life events happening, some shifts in your relationships, especially because this is a full moon happening along your 1st, 7th house axis. Moon in your 1st, along with Neptune and Saturn, opposite the sun in your 7th house in Virgo. So you guys might be having some happenings in relationships or just some really big steps in your life. But I definitely think relationships are the primary one coming to the surface. Some of you guys might be having stuff happen within your home as well, with this full moon squaring Jupiter in your 4th house. So we'll get into all of that. So with this eclipse being in your 1st house, this is a time of reconnecting to yourself. This card came out twice. I didn't want to get this card because it keeps coming out for everybody and it was annoying me. I kept shuffling and it came out again. It is listen to your intuition. This is what a Pisces eclipse is about. It's about connecting you with your Piscean gifts of intuition, inner knowing, connection to spirit, and just being open. And I see with the High Priestess in reverse, there's something in your life that you might be a little bit disconnected from. You are still Pisces, you are still intuitive, but you might not be listening to all of that all of the way. And so there's something in your life that I feel like you are like grinning and bearing it with this Strength card coming first. Like something that you're dealing with or something that you are, what's the word? Tolerating, but feeling like, okay, yes, I'm strong, I'm courageous because I'm like putting up with this, or I'm getting through this or overcoming this. But I feel like there's something within that situation, if this resonates with you, that there's something within that situation that I feel like you actually don't need to bear the burden of. You don't need to go through, or there's something about it that is unnecessary. And your intuition might be trying to tell you, hey, girl, boy, listen up. There's something about this that I feel like I would like a little bit of a shift in, or this doesn't feel quite right, or this blessing came to me and all this is so exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. But there's this one thing that I feel like I'm hesitant about, but I'm gonna, not that you don't focus on it, because the Strength is like more of like, I'm going to endure this. This is part of the equation. This is part of the issue. So I'm just going to have to take all of it instead of removing that piece. And I feel like you don't have to tolerate that. And this may be talking about relationships for you guys, because again, this is an eclipse in the 1st, 7th house axis. And I see that with the Knight of Cups and then the 2 of Cups in reverse. And I did try to throw this card to see if it was reversed, and it came out reversed twice. So there's something about relationships where I feel like this polarity or this duality of being maybe super romantic, super in love. This is talking about romance relationships, but we'll get to other ones in a second. Really inspired by this union with somebody, but then the 2 of Cups in reverse is like, but then there's maybe a disconnect there, or something is off, or the communication around something wasn't great, or there was a fight about something that wasn't resolved. And there's a sense of like, well, this really great thing is here with super, super positive, idealistic feelings. But then there's something about the connection that there's a little bit of it off. And I pulled this Mastery card, and to me, this is indicating that there is more of the relationship to develop. There is skills within the relationship that need to be worked on. So this could be, again, communication skills, the ability to forgive and to let go, the ability to work together as a team, to work through arguments in a constructive manner, to be on the same page about financial goals or long-term goals. There's something about the relationship with whoever this is, if this is romantic, there's something about the relationship that you guys, there's a lot of really great things, but there's something that might be off. So there's a lot of ways to interpret these cards. So take that with a grain of salt. If this is not resonating with you, I'm having more interpretations coming, so don't worry. So if that's the case for you, you need to actively work on developing your accountability, your ability to relate to people, your communication skills and relational skills, because this is an eclipse in your first house. So it's about you. And yes, that means all of relationships can be impacted by it, but it's really about you seeing where you can step up to the plate, where you can master yourself more, master your mind, or master something over a situation in regards to whatever this is, or your relationship. It's like, what can I do to make myself more skilled or better so that I don't have to have this issue, and I don't have to grin and bear it, and I don't have to ignore my intuition around it. Instead, I look at it, I see it for what it is, I see my part in it, I actively work on improving it, and it creates exactly what I'm looking for, which is a deeper connection or whatever else this could be related to. So that's one message. Some of you guys with the 2 cups in reverse could have gone through a disappointment in a relationship with the Knight of Cups and then 2 cups reversed, where you felt like, or not even just a relationship, so I'll extend this to other facets of life, but really anything in life that you felt like you were getting really hyped up about, like really idealizing, and the 2 of Cups comes in and is like disappointing, I guess, or something kind of falls through, or you break up, or that person doesn't meet your expectations, or again, you have this beautiful offer, but then there's something a little off with it that doesn't sit right with you, or that isn't totally great with you. It's like getting a great new job opportunity, and it pays well and the people are great, but it is like an hour drive away. And so there's some element of it where it's like, well, this is really great, and there's also this other thing. Or I thought this was going to be really great, and then it turned out to be like this. So there's something of that here. But this mastery card really, to me, tells me that you guys are coming into a phase of a great amount of self-growth, self-awareness. You are in this phase of, anytime we have eclipses in the first house, you're going through these massive personal shifts, and you could feel sometimes unstable as you go through them, where you're trying to find new ground, trying to find like who you are in this next phase of your life. It's usually a really big deal to have eclipses in your first house or in your sun sign, because it starts to orient you towards like a new chapter, a new path. You're kind of on that threshold, often in between. And so I feel like this mastery card is telling me that there's a lot that you are really working on as a person to become more of something, maybe more trusting, more disciplined, more communicative, more self-aware, more patient. I don't know, whatever that is, you'll know what that is. But there's something that I feel like you're going to be working on, and you're going to have the courage to stick with it. But you have to listen to your intuition on how to navigate these things. This eclipse is squaring Jupiter in the 4th. So wherever Jupiter is our time to expand that area of our life. For you, this is in the area of home, family, emotions, history, and just your roots and your ancestry. So with Jupiter here, this could look like starting a family, buying a home, exploring your inner world with your parents and your relationship with them in your past, exploring your own kind of psyche, connecting deeper with your habits and what motivates those habits, and maybe improving some of those things, the unconscious nature that we inherit from our history and our loved ones. So all of those things are kind of meant to be explored with Jupiter in the 4th house. And with it squaring this eclipse, this could indicate that it's a little bit hard to do all these things at once, where it's like, okay, I am having this new beginning, maybe in my relationships in some way. I'm really working on developing myself and how I show up in people's lives, whether that's friends, family, loved ones, whatever. And I'm also needing to kind of grow in this area of my home and my emotions and all that. And these things, I think, ultimately do work together, but it might feel like, because it's a square, it might feel like it's not always, yeah, let me pull a card on this because I don't want to speak to something that I'm not. Okay. New beginning in reverse. Yeah, it's almost like I said, I feel like you're having this new beginning, but then there's also maybe you're like carrying some old energy with you, or there's something that you kind of have to resolve first, or it's a lot of new beginnings. It's a lot to manage. I feel like there's kind of many messages coming here, but look to the potential hidden in promising connections and opportunities. The difficulty arises when you think you already know how something will go. You might do something prematurely or miss an amazing experience that's right in front of you because you're looking in another direction. The real lesson is not in whether something works out, but in how you manage your curiosity so you can experience something new. Life is for learning, and right now your alignment task is to be with what is, which is perfect as it is. Look at the lessons in your life and how they're repeating. That is super big because I feel like the fourth house, again, it has this very habitual, patterned type of energy. And when we look at our lessons and things that we keep falling into, we start to notice like the thread that runs through them, the history behind them. And I think Jupiter in the fourth will help you discover that. You will find that when you come to understand these lessons, you'll know why your current situation happened. Everything has a purpose for new life. Even disappointments can turn into miracles. Trust that the goddess of the dawn will bring light and hope into your heart for a good cause, even if it's different from what you expect. It's always beautiful. So, yeah, I definitely think with this card, it's calling you to really focus on the potential in new relationships or connections or things that you've missed that you didn't realize like the goodness in them, but also when there is challenges in certain things, not ignoring your intuition about those either, and actually working on mastering them or developing them. And sometimes when there's a challenge with something, we might just like want to throw our hands up and be like, well, this whole thing is off, this whole thing is wrong, I should just walk away. And this is also trying to tell you to become masterful and to listen to your gut around it, to improve and work on something around it, to have the courage and endurance to stick something out and not completely discredit it if there's one difficult piece of a really good pie. So there's a lot of messages around like not letting one little bad thing taint the whole good, and also not ignoring that one little bad thing, addressing it, trusting yourself to address it, to face it head on, not having to tolerate the bad, right? You can, yeah, you don't want to throw it out, but you also don't want to endure the challenge. How can you take up that kind of personal work to shift whatever that thing is that might feel like it kind of spoils something? Hopefully this is making sense. You guys also have Mars in your fifth house in Cancer, squaring the nodes, North Node in the second, South Node in Libra in your eighth. So Mars, wherever Mars is right now, is asking us to either take action if we haven't been, or make a decision, like take a different kind of action if we've been doing one type of behavior. With it being in the fifth, there's something about this where it's like needing to romanticize your life, needing to bring like a little bit more pleasure and joy and creativity into your life, coming back online fully, feeling like your heart is 100% in it. And with this squaring the nodes, you may need to make some kind of decision to get a little bit outside of like this kind of, the second, eighth house can be these are associated with Taurus and Scorpio, which are fixed signs, which have a little bit more rigidity to them. They tend to be signs that really want to stay, like they don't like a lot of change. They want to some degree for things to be solid. They don't want to take unnecessary risks. They have certain fears that drive them to secure themselves and be independent. And sometimes that can take you away from making decisions that are really heart-centered, that really expand you and make you feel alive and like yourself and super excited, because maybe there's this practical energy of like, well, I can't spend money on that, or an emotional reason of, oh, but I wouldn't want to risk, getting hurt like this again. And it's almost like, I'm just going to keep playing it safe, or I'm just going to keep doing it on my own, or I'm just going to, whatever that looks like. But there's there's a need here to like leap with your heart, to follow some kind of like creative inspiration or some kind of decision that makes you feel like I'm doing this because I know that my intuition's telling me, and I know it's going to fill up my heart. And that might mean that I'm outside of my comfort, that I'm taking a financial risk, that I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But this Mars wants you to listen to that. And if some of you guys want to have kids, this could also talk about that, where it's like, well, we have to wait 2 years before we have kids. We really have to save up money. We have to make sure we follow this timeline. We can't take an unnecessary risk. And then Mars is in the fifth, and it's like, but what if you're the most fertile right now? What if this is actually the best time of your lives right now for that? And 2 years from now isn't a good time for whatever reason, and you miss that opportunity because you're inactive, you're not taking action. So Mars is like, let's take action to follow our intuition, follow our hearts, do the thing that might make us feel like we're putting ourselves out there in some kind of way or taking some kind of risk, but it's something that we really feel inspired by and our intuition is telling us to do. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. I hope this resonates with you. If it does, please do comment down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye.